So, guys, I'm here. I hope you're watching. I'm here in Wayne County. How are you? Good seeing you. Yes, it's me. I'm the one with the name on the shirt. That's me. Absolutely. Here in Wayne County, but not just by myself. I am with another person running for Congress. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. Like Larry said, we're here in Williamson, New York at the Apple Blossom Festival. Uh, right in front of the historic Copper Ale House. Great place to eat, good steaks. My name's Summer Johnson. I'm a Marion resident, which is three minutes up the road. Came down to meet Larry. It's a pleasure. I'm glad I finally met you after following you all these years.
I do exist. I'm not just pixels. I'm actually a person.
Right.
Glad to have you out.
Yeah, and I'm a candidate, hopefully a candidate for the Republican 24th district, congressional district.
There we go.
As soon as we have a map.
When we one day have these districts, absolutely.
That's right.
Yes, you had some questions though. Tell me what questions you have. Beat me up to the best of your ability. And if you really give me a hard one, I will just blame her. So don't worry, I've got her to blame.
I wrote some of my questions were wrote.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I will blame Putin. I apologize. Wrong. Not her. I'll blame Putin. I apologize. Yes.
I got some of my questions on paper, so I wouldn't forget.
Pull them out. So, go ahead. Do your thing.
One of my questions was, I'll start with, let's say Larry Sharps makes it to the office.
I hope so. Larry Sharps becomes the governor.
If he makes it to the office, what are we going to do for the Amish community or communities throughout the state of New York for people that believe in home births, where we can have midwives legal in the state of New York?
100%. Let me talk to you about what libertarians are all about. Remember, libertarians are all about you doing you being you. In a libertarian world, any type of other group of people can exist. In fact, communists and socialists could actually exist in the libertarian world if you want to voluntarily be that. Wouldn't matter. In a socialist world or a communist world, the first people they go after is minorities, right? Whatever the minority is, they go to minorities. In my world, that doesn't happen, right? So you should be able to do you. So let me give you a couple examples of what we do. Immediately, we decide that if you are a farmer, we treat a farmer just like a small business, exactly the same. Insurances, exactly the same. Whether you want to get a loan or not, exactly the same. But something else. What if you are a farmer or a small business and you want to sell only locally? You kind of want to sell kind of farm to table, just locally in your own world. Why in the world would you be in any way beholden to federal guidelines? Instead, you should be immune from all federal regulatory bodies. So do you and your local and state would be able to deal with you that way? You want to slaughter your own chickens? Why do you have to go to the USDA? Why would you do any of those things? You don't have to. You want to have a craft grow on your farm. You want to have craft cheeses on your dairy farm. Why should I be stopping you? You want to sell raw milk. Why would I want to stop you from something like that? No need to. If you're not crossing a state line, federal government's not involved. Enjoy your life how you want to do it. But Larry, what if I want to have what if I want to use the midwife? What if I want to do that kind of thing? Why would I stop you? Is that your child? Unless you're capturing children from other parents and force them in some way, shape, or form, why would I care? You should be able to do you to the best of your ability, right? I want government to be much more like a firefighter. What I mean by that, when you need government, you call government because you want it to assist you, like a firefighter, right? You don't call the firefighter unless your house is on fire. If your house is on fire, you call a firefighter. You're begging, hey, come take care of my house. So I want that to happen. If you tell me you're in trouble, I'm there. If not, why would I be involved? The goal of the state government should be to protect the rights of the individual and the local bully. So in your case, maybe say you're in Wayne County, and I don't know the Wayne County legislature, but let's say they decide you can't, every time your wife is pregnant, they have to, by law, go to the hospital. They decide that. You would go to me and say, hey, this is my right. They can't do that. And I would defend you. That's what a state government should do. Defend the individual from a local bully. Right now, the state government is the bully. There's no one to defend us. Did I answer your question?
So you would definitely be okay with bringing the midwife back in the state of New York where it's completely legal?
Why would I stop?
The question was basic. The answer is
100%. Yes. Look, I'm not pro or anti midwife. I'm not live anymore. For some reason, it's all. I'm not pro or anti midwife. I am. You should be able to raise your family as you see fit. That's what I am. So, how are you?
Good.
Did you have a question?
What plans do you have for the community and for young peers in the community? Do you have any activities or anything?
When it comes to young parents in the community, as a governor, I'm not going to be the guy to provide the actual events and things for you. Of course not. I'm the governor. That's a community. That's a community issue. My goal is to support the community, to which they can do that. Let me give you a couple of ways you can do that. The number one thing you can do is you can bring in what's called child gardens. What does that mean? Right now, there's child care, and that's about it. And it's licensed child care. Well, if I instead allow for a child garden, which means if you actually decide that your local nonprofit might do a better job at keeping track of my kids, why shouldn't you be able to let your kids be dropped off at a local nonprofit? Whether that's a local church, whether that's a VFW, whether that's the American Legion, whatever that might be in your world, the Knights of Columbus, whatever's in your area. You should be able to do that if you want to. They might say, well, Larry, what if they don't have background checks? Ask them to have background checks or don't drop off your kid. It's voluntary. When you start doing that in local communities, people start creating events locally. There's a whole lot of retired people who would love to be at a local church. Oh my God, as a kid, you see the black churches in many of the urban areas are devastated. People aren't going anymore. Well, who's going there? Only older women. That's it. Well, how come the kids aren't there? Why aren't the dads there? You see them not being there. You begin to create this community group that we find. We found that happen a little bit with the Buffalo shooting, sadly, right? The Buffalo shooting did bring the local black church back into prominence again, which is a terrible reason to bring the black church back into the community. It's a terrible reason, but it's not a bad outcome. Did I answer your question? And I'll ask you one more thing. I'll give you one more idea. Imagine if you could, at the end of every year, when you're going to write your taxes to the state government, you could decide if you wanted to, instead of writing $250 to the government, you could take $250 and give it to a local nonprofit. If it's in your own county, $500. What am I doing right now? I'm encouraging people to create things. You might decide, you know what we need? We need in this community, we need a bunch of people to fix potholes. I don't know if that's true. I'm making it up, right? You decide that's going to work for you. Great. Well, you can start a nonprofit, getting some people going around fixing potholes. You might go, $500 is not a lot. What happens when 1,000 people do it? 10,000 people do it. Now you're good. What if you need childcare? What if you need a playground built? Whatever. Now the community can decide. My assumption is I will never know what the right answer is. Right? The community will know. I won't know. Did I answer that question? Do you have something you want to add to that?
Well, I think if we're talking about communities, we were just discussing earlier, because of the federal election laws in the state of New York and the redistricting and the mapping, one of the concerns I brought to the table was the fact that we can now implant certain political hopefuls into districts they don't live in. They have no connection to those.
Yes.
And there's a big disconnect with that when we start discussing building up our communities to serve us instead of just existing.
Well, the problem is someone comes in and goes, I know what's right for you guys. Right? I came from this place and I know what's right for you guys. Let me now decide. I'm going to put my cronies, my buddies, they're going to go build the thing that I think is right for you. And my point is, okay, he might be right, he might be wrong. But why would I assume that he's right when I can instead let the community decide? The community might be wrong too. It's possible. But if the community is wrong after that first year of an error, then they get to change it next year. If he's wrong, he just keeps giving it money.
Or
he never stops.
Move into a new district.
New district.
Filing a different part.
100%.
So
yes.
It's really important that when you're talking about community with activities like that woman mentioned, children's activities,
yep.
churches,
yep.
nonprofits, it's important that candidates come from that community so they have those connections already in place. And we don't waste precious time
yep.
trying to manipulate that community into doing what you want them to do.
100%.
Okay.
Are you back in action again,
my friend? Got more questions.
Go ahead, throw them at me.
My next question is, what can we do for a small community, like I told you, from Allegheny County? Mm-hmm. Let's take town of New Hudson. Okay, I'm one town west, which is Cuba, town of Cuba.
I actually have a shirt that says Cuba Lake.
Okay, so we got New Hudson. My question has always been, and I've been friends with the township supervisor, which actually is not supervisor for the last year or so. They got 4,560 acres of state property.
Okay,
hanging bomb.
Yep.
Okay, so
you got 4,000 acres of state property.
Okay, it's a small community.
Okay.
Why is there not a way that the state has to pay tax on that property to help out the small community?
You want the state to pay tax on state land to help out the small community,
or sell that property back to the public?
Okay. if you sell the property back to the public, it's a one-time hit, and private capital and permanent capital will take all the money, all the land, guaranteed, right? If you just auctioned it off, you're gonna have like BlackRock or somebody come in and buy all that land up. That is not gonna support the community by selling it off. You will see permanent capital walk in and take everything. That's happening now in homes right now. You see it right now. So the selling back to the community, while the theory in theory is good, you'd have to have some kind of guardrails in place that wouldn't happen first. So I'm not sure I want to walk down that road, particularly someone like me being a relatively new governor. Getting that system put together might be tough, it's not impossible. But I see what your point is. I'd rather do the opposite. I would rather lease the land out to someone like that, the BlackRock or something, and then put a bunch of the money that they pay in leasing fees back into the community. That to me seems like a much better plan, right? Because then it's being leased, which means we still keep it. So if companies, you still retain ownership of it, and now it's an ongoing revenue source for local people, right? Now I've got an ongoing revenue source for local people. I would rather lease it out to the permanent capital people who will lease it anyway, to build what they want to build on it, so that will then bring in money to the local people. So I'm fine with that idea. So, did that make sense at least?
Yes, it makes sense. My question has always been, so why do we not have a better system? Let's say the hanging ball gets long. It's been long a few times. Why do us as public, or the public, have to work so hard to figure out what's happening with this money?
Because why would they be transparent with you if they don't have to be? Right? There's no requirement for them to be transparent with you. They have, in most of these cases, it's going to somehow go through the Empire Development Corporation in some way, shape, or form, right? That is somehow going to go through some regional IDA or something like that. Those boards, they're not elected, right? They're staffed by people in Albany. So why does it matter what you think? So you've got 6 or 7 people selected, usually 5, selected from somebody in Albany. They sit down and go, we're going to use this land to do so-and-so. Maybe, I don't know, solar panels, whatever's the thing, right? They're going to do this. And you say, but wait a minute, you're using taxpayer money for that? Well, subsidies, not taxpayer money. It's subsidies. Okay, great. So what are you going to do with that? Don't worry about it. Well, we want to get mad. Great. We'll sit together with you, and you can yell at us and have public comment. I'm doing quotes, public comment. And you go and go, I don't know about this. I don't get that. I'm mad about this. I'm mad about that. And what do? They go, that's nice. We're doing it anyway. Because they're not accountable to you. If you want to change that system, the people who are there need to be accountable to you. If they're accountable, then they have to be transparent. If they're not accountable, it doesn't matter. Did I answer your question?
Yeah. I was just, so if Larry Sharp makes it in the office, what are we going to do with the SAFE Act?
Great question. You will find that in this
Why are you
case,
looking at me?
well, because he knows what Republicans have done. That's why. So yes, yeah, thank you. He knows what Republicans have done. Democrats in this case, I'll give them credit. Democrats at least have been honest in this. Democrats are all about crushing gun rights, and openly and 100%. I'll give them credit on this one. They are all about that.
They've been transparent on that.
They've been transparent on. They are all about crushing gun rights, and they've been doing it. So I'll give them that. That's at least they're honest about. The reality of it is about 60%, if not more, of New Yorkers are actually for gun laws, if not gun laws. That's true. The SAFE Act is still popular in New York State. Does that mean I want to get rid of it? Of course I do. Does that mean I can? Yes, over time. It'll take me about 2 years to get rid of the SAFE Act. What you hear the Democrats say is, doesn't go far enough, hammer more, take away everything, put you in jail for anything. Democrat will say that. Republican will go, the second they put that on my desk, I'll repeal the SAFE Act. That's just rhetoric. He's not doing any of that. He's basically lying.
Maybe he can't do it day one.
Correct. He cannot do it day one. He's lying, saying he can. He cannot. Here's the reality. The first thing you do with the SAFE Act is you start to create non-enforcement. That's the first piece. You let law enforcement know it is the lowest priority of enforcement. 0. You can also start with some blanket pardons, right? So if this is going to happen, prosecutors know, I'm going to pardon. Don't bother charging. I'm going to pardon. Most people don't know this, and Democrats will figure this out very quickly. Most SAFE Act violations are actually not done by the guy they think, which is it's the white guy in Allegheny County. No, most SAFE Act violations are used against young black guys in cities. They add a bunch of SAFE Act violations onto their stuff, and it makes the charges so high they have to plea down. The SAFE Act actually hurts brown and black people. It's not supposed to, but that's what it actually does. That's the reality of it. When I begin to explain that to them, show them that, and now say I will do a blanket pardon, They can't get it. You will get people in the cities to be like, oh, this is so good. The key to any Second Amendment issue is to stop talking about the Second Amendment in rural counties. I'm preaching to the choir. To talk to the Second Amendment to people in cities who don't believe it, who think it's a terrible idea. That's what I do. I bring up these issues like I talked about. The SAFE Act actually does hurt veterans. The SAFE Act does make law enforcement job harder. The SAFE Act does hurt brown and black people. And when I start saying that, they go, wait a minute, this is really bad. Yeah, it is. Give me 2 years of non-enforcement, 2 years of talking about it, and then the data will show there's been no change. Then at that point, we immediately repeal. Then it becomes repealable. Give me 2 years and it's gone. That's my plan for the SAFE Act.
So we're out there.
All right, my next question is,
Did I answer it? Was that good? I don't know.
That's good.
Okay, good.
When
He's not giving any feedback. I don't know. I may be messing up.
when
I
Larry
got a
makes
question for you before he starts. Oh, that I asked him for it.
Okay, let me get her too.
I have a question.
Tell me,
I
please.
was he has an ex-felon a few years ago.
Yep.
It's very hard to find a job out
I know. My mother was a felon.
there. And I was trying to tell him, like, I'm a seasonal kid. My parents used to work.
Yep.
I always think about there should always be a program with us or any felon around here. So when season comes to pick where give us as some opportunities also. To
I
know,
100%.
there's a lot of places that we go and we get shut down.
Let me give you, yes, 100%. And this is personal things. I told you, my mother was a felon. So number one thing, we'll go for both prison reform and then felon reform. I'll do both. Felon reform. Every single person who hires a felon should absolutely pay no payroll tax, the state payroll tax, for 2 years. No matter who it is. You hire a felon, no payroll tax, 2 years. Now the pushback I get is, well, then I'll just keep hiring felons and then every 2 years fire them. Good, you're training my felon force. Thank you. Please do that. What an amazing policy that would be. Please keep doing it. Please. And if you keep
giving them new purpose.
absolutely. And if
Should be
you
a little small program for them where they
100%.
certain amount of them. Let's show you how to go back to society,
Yep.
learn how to do something. Because some of us do come productive. A lot of people go right back to where they started.
100%. And here's
And
what
some
people
of them
don't
need
understand.
opportunities, a lot of people
Here
don't.
is the magic thing that people don't get. If you want to make sure someone who's a felon does not go back to jail, there is a magic formula. And that formula is 5 years of work. I'm not making this up. Once a convicted felon has worked for 5 years, the odds of them going back to jail are less than people who are not felons. Literally, that is the magic pill. 5 years of work.
Thank God.
That is the issue. So yes, I am all about giving people 5 years of work because that's the magic bullet. So 100% I'm in. No payroll tax off the bat, but something else. Once someone's out for a certain period of time, they should not even be able to ask the question anymore. You've done your time, right? You've done your time. Can't even ask the question anymore. End it.
Right.
You do that, it changes everything. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. So you're back up if you want. Do you want to bring it up at all? Okay.
Yeah,
Please. Do
fine.
you want to answer a question?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Good. So any other question?
Yeah, I got one more question.
Please go ahead. How you
Well,
doing, brother?
Actually, what I was going to add to the felon statistics there
Yep.
is, if you want to go even further, we can start the move where we can eliminate that person statistically to become a felon if there's an active father.
Helps tremendously. Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
if
And one more thing, they're not in foster care.
they're not foster
They're not in
care,
the system.
right?
I'm
Right.
just gonna do a video and share it later.
Yeah. When you look at who's in prison now, huge chunk of men who've been through the system and fatherless men. Huge chunk.
Generation after generation.
100%. Yes. 100%. I was saying the same thing. Imagine, no matter who you are, if wherever you are now, if you never saw your mother or your father go off to work, like that was the thing you never watched. Like you never saw your mother or father go off to work. And we're having in many areas of the country, not just in the cities, poor areas also outside, rural areas. You're seeing that where there are now generations of people who never watched their family go off to work. Whoever you are now, you'd be a different person. If you had never seen that, you would not know what that's like.
So
Yes.
when Larry makes it into the office,
Well, I like how you're talking.
what are we gonna do with the bill reform?
Yes, bail reform. Actually, a very simple answer for bail reform. And I brought it up years ago. Bail reform needs to be focused on the first-time offender. That's the key. The idea of bail reform is amazing. It's a great idea. You don't want to punish poor people, right? Why would you do that? But the implementation was a disaster. Yes,
There's no
terrible. And I'm going to blame two groups of people: the legislature for not actually doing anything in the legislature for it. They didn't do a thing for it, and the reason is because when it came out, when they first initially wanted to create bail reform, they assumed Republicans would still control the Senate. They did at the time. and they thought there'd be a back and forth. So they put everything in it, assuming there'd be a back and forth, and the Senate would have said, if you take out X, Y, and Z, we'll let you go. Well, what happened that year? Democrats swept. Democrats didn't think Democrats would sweep. So the bill came in, they went, oh, it's our bill. Sign away. They got everything. That's number one. Number two, the judges were just as complicit. And I'm not joking. The judges knew that there were people who were multiple felons and said, I'm letting you out. And they said, I have no choice. They should have said, I don't care. I'm locking him up anyway. He's a 3-time offender. He's going to go out and do it again. I'm locking him up. What would have happened? The lawyers would have sued. They would have had an appeal. And they would have actually created judgments throughout the law. They would have created case law to fix it in the actual courts. And that's what I said. If anyone saw when it came out, I literally said that. I said, don't worry, we're going to be okay. I was totally wrong. I said the judges will fix this in case law. They will fix this law. They're not going to let these people back out. And I was completely wrong. They let them all out. Shame on our judiciary for doing that. Because they did it because they didn't like the fact they had no control. And they were trying to punish legislature, but let it happen. And people died because of it. They should have said, no, it's wrong. Look, I'll give you an example. What if they had passed a law that said if you were 17 years old, convicted of graffiti, there was a mandatory death sentence? Now you're a judge. Kids convicted of graffiti, 17, you must sentence them to death. You go, well, I got no choice. Sentence to death. If you do that, you are a terrible human being. You would say, no, I'm not sentencing a 17-year-old to death for the graffiti. I'm not doing it. I'll see you in court, I guess. Appeal me. Sorry, I'm not doing it. There's no difference. So the answer is focus on first-time offenders. All the people who got arrested and released did bad thing, all of them were multiple-time offenders. Every one of them. The first-time offender has a chance to get somebody who just screwed up. It's a second chance. The best time that someone got swept, a bunch of people getting like, we're in a corner here, right? I'm getting milk, and I got 3 bad guys with me. Bad guys. Why am I doing this? I don't want to do this. I'm arrested. I get back out. I get my life. You pair bail reform by focusing on first-time offenders. That's the issue. Did that answer your question? Good. Good. Yes. Any other? So you didn't put me on the spot at all. He was like, "What if I put you on the spot?" And it's fine. No worries. Okay. Is that right? So yes. Did you want to add anything?
On bail reforms?
So, guys, any other questions? Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all very soon. Here we go. Of course.
Want to get a picture?
I like that.
Yeah. See, dinner done.
Well,
Thank you, sir.
I think,
That's very.
yeah, I know. It's funny. I'm a Marine, and I do the cleaning house.
Yeah.
It's how to do it.
It's so good.